I recently finished Neir Automata for a second time, so I was thinking about Neir Replicant lately, when I remembered what is probably the coolest area in the game. This video contains mild spoilers for Neir Replicant. If you do not care about spoilers for one specific dungeon in the game that is self-contained from the story, you are good. If you have not played Neir Replicant, honestly, if you like action games, you should check it out. It's a phenomenal prequel to Neir Automata. But yeah, that's basically all I need to say as a prerequisite. So let's just jump into it and give you a basic rundown of the area. So Devila and Popola inform you that the man who runs the canal system has gone missing. So you and your party head over to his residence. His wife can't find him, so you look around town and eventually end up at the post office. You notice the postman is missing, and instead the person filling in for him, who kinda just was there at a bad time, tells you that a shipwreck had recently landed on their shore, and that a lot of kids had been going there recently. You decide to investigate, as that might be the possible evidence of where our friend, the Red Bag Man, has gone. I'm pretty sure he's literally referred to in game text as Red Bag Man. But when you're heading there, you notice your party members are actually heading there themselves. Your party members never enter town with you, so that's a bit suspicious. But either way, you continue on, and one of your party members ends up feeling a bit sick when she enters the ship. She decides to leave and survey the outsides. You quickly find yourself a lantern and an apple, which confirms your suspicion, as the man and his wife had a lot of red objects. And you notice a small girl enter one of the side rooms of the ship. You and Grimoire Weiss decide to enter. But when you do, there's no one there. As if you saw a ghost, and there's no way she could have passed you. There's no exit out of that room. So you continue on. And you keep finding stuff. And you find the ship's logs. Where it had been going, what it was selling. And it was selling people? In all fairness, this game follows a bit of a fantasy realm, so I guess slaves probably existed in medieval times. Right? But then you notice that there is some wind coming from behind a bookshelf. So you push the bookshelf away and find a room filled with weapons of some kind. And on a blocked door, in blood and scratches, are pleads for help. You put two and two together. This was used for human trafficking. That's not good. For obvious reasons. And this immediately makes you think, is that girl we saw earlier someone who was on the ship and died at some point while on it? Is she a ghost that haunts the ship? Because the game makes it very clear she is likely something non-corporeal. So you continue on, now knowing the dark truths behind this ship. And you hear voices. Likely coming from the girl. So you continue on, and the floor collapses below your feet. And the lantern drops and turns off. Which, for obvious reasons, isn't good. So in a pitch black room, you have to quickly find your lantern, and when you do, you notice where you ended up. This is the bottom of the ship, and there are dead bodies. And they're relatively recent. So, you continue on, and you notice one of the dead bodies is the man you were looking for. He's dead. He entered the ship and never came back. You continue onwards and meet up with your party members. They notice you're acting a bit distressed, and Emil presses you on it. You don't say anything and continue onwards deeper into the ship. And there she is. The girl. Holding a red bag. The red bag that belonged to that man. And then the postman walks in, ruining this scene. I don't mind the postman, but, like, he just, like, is played for laughs in a joke that isn't funny, and ruins the scene because the realization that the bag this girl is carrying is the red bag of the missing person you're looking for hits. And then the postman comes in and plays it for laughs. Probably my least favorite thing. And the girl tries to defend the postman, revealing that she's a shade. The monsters you've been fighting this whole game. She fights you, desperately trying to protect the man she cares about. And she does. And leads into what is, in my opinion, the toughest boss in the game. And the most memorable. I say the toughest boss in the game because this was the boss I struggled the most on my initial playthrough, and then my playthrough on Route B, which, note, I had endgame equipment that the game gives you moments before fighting the final boss, and I still struggled with this boss. I find them to be one of the most difficult and one of the most fun. Of course, the boss in a scripted battle where the second half you're forced to lose in no matter what happens is going to be hard. But you enter the fight. This giant shade, a monster that's supposed to die in the sunlight, is just tanking it. You attempt to defeat it, and honestly manage to deal a decent chunk of damage to it. When it destroys the ship, you and your party get knocked off, and you will fight on the beach. It's sending a barrage of bullets at you constantly. When nothing happens, you can't hurt it. No matter how much, it's healing faster than you can hurt it, and it's hurting you faster than you can heal. One of your party members, Cheyenne, comes up with a plan. She believes it's trying to protect the postman. And so she threatens it to stop attacking you or she kills the postman. Her blade is literally about to cut through his throat, and the monster stops. You and Cheyenne then go in for a powerful attack, and it still doesn't get hurt. The postman grabs a log from the rubble and starts hitting it. yelling at it that it shouldn't be doing this. And then it accepts it. It stops healing and lets itself die. To protect the one it loves. And that's it for this chapter of the game. That's its story and its atmosphere, and I love it. Next part's spoilers for the B section. But again, this area is so self-contained. The only parts that could be considered spoilers, I am not going to mention, as they're smaller parts regarding to a character in your party, and not regarding this specific dungeon and its boss itself. Intermittently, as you make progress through the ship, you see flashbacks of the postman taking care of the child. He eventually calls her Louise and teaches her how to sing, which is actually where her devastating attacks come from. Yeah, those giant sound blasts are her attempting to sing. No offense, but you're not suited for this. And this explains why she protects the postman so. He cared for her and saw through her being a monster. Saw her as a human. Honestly, that makes me just appreciate this character so much more. I still don't like the postman because, seriously, could you have come in like 10 seconds later? Jeez. But that's basically everything we need to know about this dungeon, so I'll be giving my closing thoughts on it. Overall, the dungeon, despite being completely segregated from the plot, and therefore it being held back a little bit, because seriously, could you guys have not connected this at all to the main plot? Like, even throwing in an Act 1 would have worked, because then you could have connected it to the plot extremely easily. I don't know, it's just like, why is this mandatory for the plot? But it's an amazing dungeon with, honestly, one of the best atmospheres I've seen in gaming, as you go from exploring an abandoned shipwreck to learning the truth about it, and then fighting one of the things that lost its life to the ship, with probably my favorite fight in this game. And some of my favorite moments, like, overall, this is my favorite area in the game, in a vacuum. And it's probably the most memorable moment of the game. Which is ironic considering the most memorable moment of the, like, and Neir's most memorable moments usually end up being big, like, massive scenes that, like, are super important to the plot, not a weird one-off shipwreck thing that's never mentioned again, nor does it have any plot significance, other than a small detour and unlocking fast travel. But that's just a weird nitpick. Overall, this is an amazing dungeon. I really like it, and I really like its atmosphere. The footage you've seen throughout this entire video is not mine. The actual original video is linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like it, I think you know what to do. I'm sure this isn't your first YouTube video ever. Let's be honest. I really hate saying the spiel that every YouTuber has to say, because it's repetitive. That's why I basically just say you know what to do, because you know what to do. So, yeah. And also, I'll leave it to the end of the video. Bye.